Welcome to another edition of Netstruck Talks. It's your host, Sharon Lead, and I will be talking about Black wealth, generational wealth. How is it you can get to that point where you are comfortable in making money for yourself and for your family? I will be speaking with an expert today who she went from struggling to now she is living the life of La Loca. Stay tuned. Welcome. It's your host, Sharon Devonish Lead, and I have my coach, thebomb.com, Dr.Avis, here to talk to us about talk to us again, because this is not the first time you have been on Netstruck Talks, mind you.
I love this show. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Avis. So I want to talk about, because this is something that a lot of us are coming across so much, especially with COVID, Black Lives Matter. I mean, this issue is coming up so much, that how Blacks are not really making the money that what they are really valued at. Mm-hmm. Our generational wealth is no more. I mean, we're really not really building up our generations for them to start thinking wealthy, start being wealthy, and making the money that we deserve. So I wanted to bring you on because this is something that is so important. You have an event that's coming up that's really going to be helping people get to that point. I know you've gotten me there. And I want to talk about Black wealth. You've studied this, you've worked in the, in the space about this and why there's so much disparities with African Americans making the money that what they deserve compared to other ethnic groups. So talk to us a little bit in terms of Black wealth and why this is so passionate to you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me back, Sharon. It's great to be here. And thanks for having this very important show, because this is a subject that honestly isn't tackled enough. So in terms of Black wealth, let me just first of all say a little bit about my bona fides in this space, because this is something that I have worked on literally for decades. My PhD is in political science, and my area of specialty is the intersection of race, class, and gender. So I have had literally a lifetime in terms of my career of analyzing these numbers. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the State of Black Women in America report. So this is data that I've looked at literally for decades. I also served on the Ford Foundation's Closing the Racial Wealth Gap initiative. So specifically looking at the racial wealth gap has been something that has been at the center of some of my core work for many, many years. And what's really sad is that as long as I've been working in this space, there has not been significant improvement. The bottom line is that when we talk about the racial wealth gap, Black people typically only have about 1/10 of the wealth that their white counterparts do. Some of the most shocking statistics that we're seeing right now in terms of where the current trends are going, it's been projected, and let me make sure I get the specific year right. It's been projected that by 2053, if things don't change, if the current trends don't change, the Black community as a whole will have a net worth of 0. Meaning that the typical Black family will have no Black wealth at all. And I think it's very important that we start off by really sort of defining what we mean by wealth, because sometimes people confuse that with income. This does not mean that Black people won't be working and making money, but wealth is really what's left over, the value of what's left over when you take into account the debt that you have. So the surplus that you have on top of your debt is considered your wealth. And the bottom line is that from day one that we've been in this nation, giving this nation 200 years of free labor without any sort of reparations or anything after emancipation, we started off behind, and decades of racist policies after that has oftentimes left us even further behind.
So you talk about, in what is it, 2053, you said?
2053.
2053.
Yeah.
We literally will be at 0. And that's talking about once our once we pay the debt off, once, and this is called, you're talking about monthly debt that what we have, because bills are here regardless. When you die, bills are
Exactly. But I'm saying, for example, your any sort of debt that you have in your family, any sort of the cost of your house, your car, anything like that. Do you have anything that is worth more than that? Like, for example, do you have any stock portfolios? Do you have any savings? Like when you subtract your debt from your debt, from your assets, and the assets also can be a house, right? The valuation of the house. If the value of the house is more than your debt, then that's actually a net asset, right? So it's a little complicated in terms of how you do the numbers, but the bottom line is your debt needs to be less than your assets in order for you to have wealth. And forever, we've been far behind our white counterparts when it comes to amassing wealth, that overabundance of assets as compared to debt.
So why do you think this happens? I mean, a lot of us work. Some people, they work and work and work. Some people make six figures. Some people have their side hustle and but they still end up in that same ratio, what you spoke about. Yeah. Why do you think that is happening in the black race?
Well, there has been a lot of historic challenges that we faced that honestly has put us in the situation where we've kind of started out from the bottom, literally. So for example, even if you X out, the research that I did on this way back when I was writing my dissertation suggested that the free labor that we gave this country really isn't even the primary reason why we have the racial wealth gap today. The primary reason why we have the racial wealth gap today is because of racist policies that this country put into place that specifically helped whites amass wealth and kept us out of that. So, for example, when the suburbs were created around the time of the GI Bill, white people were specifically more likely to get that sort of support. And Black people oftentimes were specifically turned away from that support. Oftentimes the federal government, Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, actually provided at one point examples of restrictive covenants that white people could use so that when they sold their houses, they could write into the contracts that their houses could not be sold to Black people, right? And so we know that for the typical person in America, they're not building their wealth because they have a huge stock portfolio. It's because their mama or their grandmama owned a house and bought it for like $30,000, and now it's worth maybe $2 million, depending upon where they are, right? And that's how they were able to amass intergenerational wealth. We had racist policies that specifically precluded us from getting in when the beginning was good in terms of the creation of the suburbs and all of those things in this nation's history. And that put us behind. And the bottom line is because of the current situation that we continue to face with racial wage gaps that are both race and gendered in this nation. So Black men aren't paid fairly either. And of course, Black women aren't paid fairly. We're not bringing up in enough income to be able to invest in wealth building vehicles to help us come anywhere close to catching up. It's a really very multi-layered and intergenerational problem. And in order to overcome that, we have to really be a lot more aggressive in terms of generating income and revenue in multiple ways or in different ways or in ways that provide us more access to being able to bring in more income so that we can take some of that income, invest it in wealth building vehicles, and ultimately be able to grow our wealth.
And you know what, you hit that on the nose, to bringing in the resources, learning more. Education is key at this point.
Yes.
When you said how some of us, we come into some type of wealth where our grandmother bought a house and then they left the house to us and now it's worth $2 million. There is no real, we don't take on the education, the financial education to show, okay, you know what, this house is worth $2 million. Should I invest it? Should I sell it? What should I do with it to make sure that this money stays in the family and it grows larger and larger and larger? And you're in that business in showing folks, like, how is it you need to build your wealth? Generational wealth is key. Why is it, do you think, that we don't get the resource or don't get the education? Now, could it be something where we're just running like a machine and we just got to keep going just to survive? Or is it that it's the lack of the resources brought into our communities for us to actually even know about it?
I think it's a little bit of all of that. On the one hand, unfortunately, very few of us get that big windfall from grandma's house, because grandma back in the day wasn't allowed to buy that house because of those restrictive covenants. So unfortunately for a lot of us, we've come from generations of renters. So we don't even have that equity to be able to pass down in the first place. For those of us who do, even for those of us who maybe are the first generation in our families to be able to, get that really good paying job, and we are able to reach the, Black middle class for the first time. Oftentimes, quite frankly, even if we're bringing in similar incomes as our white counterparts, because we're usually one of the first in our family to get there, we tend to take on the responsibility of supporting people even beyond our specific family unit, right? And so we're not only supporting our own children, if we're the ones that made it, we're also oftentimes supporting grandma, aunties, uncles, siblings, cousins. Whenever somebody, runs into a problem, they all come to the one that made it, which makes it that much more difficult for the one that made it to be able to have extra income that they can use to build more wealth or invest in wealth building vehicles. So it is really a multifaceted problem. Yes, we need to know more about financial investments and all of that, but I think a big part of it is we need to be able to just completely maximize the amount of revenue that we can bring into the household. And that will give you more of an ability to not only invest in wealth building vehicles, but be able to take care of your children, be able to have enough wealth left to be able to provide them with intergenerational wealth. Once we move on to our next plane, be able to support other people when they need it to some degree. I think, don't give all your money away. Okay. I don't think But then, the bottom line is, if you can bring in more resources, now you have more ability to do all of those things that you need to do. And this is why I am such a huge, huge, huge proponent of entrepreneurship.
And you went right into my next question, or our next discussion part about entrepreneurship. You have went from consultant, which in your story, you said your consulting business really paid the bills. I mean, it really brought in the money. And, when we start our own business as entrepreneurs, we're kind of programmed that, okay, you go where the money is coming. You are now saying, yes, go where the money is coming, but you also have to have the passion and also see where you can get the bigger, have the much more maximum outcome.
Yeah.
When you do. So you went from consulting to coaching, and, tell us in terms of, that transition. Why did you do it? How did it feel? And your recommendations in terms of why someone should do that.
Yeah. So, I think like a lot of us, when we first started putting our toes into the entrepreneurial realm, oftentimes we start doing that by doing something very similar to what our career was in, because we know that the best, we have connections there, our network is there, all of that stuff. And that's really how I started. My very, very first entree into entrepreneurship was as a consultant, but primarily around research and writing for a lot of my peers and my network who needed that service. And it was specifically based in the DC area. So there are a lot of think tanks and places in Washington, DC that need people like me to write research reports, run data analysis and all that stuff. And that's how I really started in that realm until I went on a trip actually and decided, hey, I would kind of like to live here, but down here, nobody really cares about research and writing. It was limited to Washington, DC. So I said, I need to do something broader. So then I shifted to DE&I consulting, which was broader. I could bring in corporate clients. I was able to bring in more revenue to my business. But I got very frustrated that I felt like those companies really weren't implementing a lot of the things that they needed to implement to bring real change. And my love all the time was still around entrepreneurship. And so I, by that time, also started to dip my toe into coaching. And I truly loved it. And because it really meshed with my passion around helping Black businesses thrive, I decided towards the beginning of 2020 to go all in that direction. And I've literally never looked back.
So that's crazy, because I actually joined you in 2020. So I am like the inaugural.
One of my babies, yes. You are.
Which by, from experience, you have poured into all of the knowledge that you have learned into everyone that you have, that's come across you, that you've actually coached.
Yes.
And I want to, and now we're going into, you're taking it to another level.
Yes.
You're taking this to a whole nother level. When you started in 2020, it was literally just having us change our mindset, understand your wealth, pushing what you know, what you can do, and charging what you feel you are worth.
Yes.
Now you're taking us to another level. You're like, hold up, wait a minute. You are not only you are not only charging what you are worth, you are way more charged, and you are worth $1 million.
Yeah.
So you have an event that's coming up. And I want us to talk about this because everyone that's listening to this show, I want you to really grasp the transition of what Dr. Avis is doing with people who come across, who she deals with.
Mm-hmm.
She's dealing with people whose mindset is it's an entrepreneurial mindset. You know what you're worth, you just don't know how to project it.
Yep.
You're dealing with people who has great resources, has a great service, has a great product, but just does not know how to put it in a place where people will see it and they will want to purchase it or work with you for you to get to the plateau of where you're going to. Mm-hmm. She's working with you to build up your confidence that you can actually say, you know what, I'm worth $1 million. I'm worth what anyone else is doing in my industry and better. That's what Dr. Avis is doing when she works with people. So now, I'm talking about from 2020 to now. Let's go further now. Let's talk about the event that you have coming up at the Ritz Carlton at the Pentagon.
Yes.
Coming up, when is it? October 14th to the 16th.
Yep.
And this event that you have that's coming up, and I'm going to put this up here real quick, that you'll see Black Millionaire Coach Live. I want you guys to soak this in. I want you to soak this in. Black Millionaire Coach Live. This is an event that if you are at a point of your business that you know you can get to a next level, a second level, a third level, a fourth level. You just don't know how. You're stuck. Dr. Avis is extremely great at getting people unstuck. This is an event that I want you to attend. And why I want you to attend is because you will walk away with so much information, so much valuable content to get you to that next level, to get you to that millionaire status. So Dr. Avis, talk to us about this event, why you decided to do this event, and who is this event? I said who the event is for just on a personal level. But really talk to us about this event.
Yeah, so I'm so excited about this event because I feel like it's so important that Black business owners reach for the moon with regards to the amount of revenue that they are looking to hit in their businesses. And I want you all to know that being a millionaire does not have to be a pie in the sky sort of aspiration. It can be real. If you have the strategy, if you have the specific knowledge around what action to implement, you can make it happen. And so Black Millionaire Coach Live is really about providing 3 days where we can help you, myself and my incredible team, help you specifically identify what we would call your $1 million offer. And the whole idea behind that is, honestly, you don't need to sell 1 million things to make $1 million. You just need to sell one powerful, scalable, replicatable, highly profitable offer. And what we will do at this event is help you determine what that is, help you specifically map it out, help you specifically price it correctly so that you make sure that you're not underpaying yourself. And then we're going to teach you how to brand properly so that you can attract the right people to you who are ready, willing, and able to pay top dollar for your services. And finally, we are going to teach you how to write your own marketing plan. So before you leave, you're going to have a marketing plan that you would have set up that will specifically let you know how you go out there and attract those right buyers. And so it's really about giving you key tools that you'll need in order to build that $1 million business. We have a couple of extras in there. For example, I have my incredible copywriter who will be coming in training. He has brought in over $100 million in sales for his clients. He's literally taught the people at Facebook about copywriting. Hello. All right. He's actually worked with Facebook. And so, like, if you really want to get the opportunity to be in the room with millionaires and other aspiring millionaires, and you're serious about escalating your business to that six, that multi six, and yes, even that seven-figure level, then in 3 days, you will be able to learn what it literally took me over, basically like a decade, really, altogether, to put together and to be able to crystallize to you in just 72 hours.
So let's rewind that. You are going to be helping with strategy.
Yes.
You're going to be helping with scaling.
Yes.
They're going to be walking away with a marketing plan.
Yep.
That and I'll be honest with you, when we go into business, we don't plan that out.
Yeah, that's true.
I know that because as a publicist, yeah, I mean, you'll say, okay, what's your marketing plan? Oh, I don't have one. I need, so I get it. And this is these are tools that, listen, those who are listening, you may be making a lot of money, but how was your marketing plan? Sometimes you got to regroup. Sometimes you got to shift. And maybe, and this is a time for you to start looking in terms of, okay, how do you shift? Because you can't stay stagnant. If you're making 100,000, 200,000, okay, great. But what happened to 300, 400, 500? What happened to $1 million?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you are scaling and strategizing and pricing right for that $1 million offer.
Absolutely.
We don't think that way.
We have to start, and that's true. Too often we don't, but we have to start. And what I want people to understand is it does not have to be hard. This can be simple. I'm not saying that it doesn't need to take work, because hell yeah, you will work to make that happen.
Absolutely.
It does not have to be complex. This is not like, geometry. Maybe if you're good at geometry, you don't get that. But if you're like me, geometry took me out, y'all. Okay. So it's not like that. But it's just about knowing the right things to do. And the beautiful thing is that this is 3 days you can devote to your business and leave with key assets that you can use in your business immediately to be able to scale to that seven-figure level. It is really an amazing investment of your time.
So I know when people say, oh, I got to go to conferences, work. You have some real nice layout, not casual, but elite type of events going on for those 3 days.
We do, because we do believe that you got to balance work with pleasure, right? And
absolutely.
We also believe that, when you're in spaces like that, as valuable as what you will learn is, just as valuable are the other people in the room, right? It's about also networking and building great relationships. And Sharon, I know you are the queen of networking, so you understand how important that is, right? And so we've created environments that will allow you to be able to network, maybe meet your next business partner, meet your next client, meet your next lifelong friend. It's a wonderful space. So that would include things like our all Black affair opening reception. So come with your finest after 5 Black attire, and we will all have a nice time together with that opening reception. And then each and every day of the event, you will be invited to our Millionaire in the Making luncheons. Well, you'll get the opportunity to have a delicious meal provided for you each and every day. And during that time, you can also take that time to meet the other people who are there, network, get some, make some relationships happen. Because honestly, I would say that some of the best relationships that I have in my business right now were born out of attending conferences like this, joining masterminds where I'm around similar-minded people. You can't just go for the information. You also have to go for the conversations and the relationships that will be born from being in that very special space.
No, and that's amazing. It sounds like it. I know, because I've been to your events already, and I just love the fact that you have the Black attire, chic, cocktail event that you're having, going into this event. Because again, when you when you dress your best, you feel your best, you act your best. And then, you start doing things that you just didn't understand that you were doing, but it's in a successful way.
Oh, so, girl, let me tell you, Sharon, I have to say, you're exactly right, but I have to tell you, you have been to some of my events before, but you've never been to one like this. I hate that you're going to be in Jamaica. This is going to be we are up-leveling this from every event that I've ever had in the past. We're going to have live performers there. We're going to have just an amazing, it's going to be an experience. This is not like a conference, I would say. This is an experience. I tell you, I kid you not, it's like no other event you've attended this year or will attend at any time.
Listen, Black Millionaire Coach Live, just the name alone, just the name alone, people should be like, you know what? I need to go.
Yeah.
I just need to go to get the experience,
Yes.
to see who is in the room. You know, we don't think that far out. We don't think of saying to ourselves, you know what? I need to forecast the type of events I need to go to. What type of events? You know why? Because it's really not offered to us. We don't see it. And so this is an opportunity that we're able to see ourselves in this capacity. You know, we do a little networking, we do a little high-end eating, and then we learn how to get to that next level.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Perfectly encapsulated. And, you know, it just first, and one last thing I'll say about it is that we will treat you like a VIP because you are a VIP, by the way. I hope you recognize that. So we will treat you like the VIP that you are from the moment this event begins, right? And so I want you to, it's very important to me that I personally believe that before you can be something, you have to really be able to envision yourself in that space. Right. And that's another reason, quite frankly, why it's at the Ritz Carlton, right? I want you to experience what it's the type of lifestyle that millionaires experience, right? And so we're having this at a space. We're having the type of entertainment, the type of food, the type of surroundings that, quite frankly, as a millionaire is my normalcy, right? And I want it to be your normalcy too. And I believe that when you get a taste of it, right, and you get to see all of those around you in that experience, you will be able to see how real that could be for you even beyond these 3 days. It's about getting a taste of the millionaire lifestyle that is in your future, but at the same time, being able to acquire the knowledge and the strategy and the connections that you need to actually make it happen.
Absolutely. And when you put it out in existence, it happens. And you constantly have to keep doing it, constantly and constantly. Can't do it one time and that's it.
Exactly.
You know, we're not on the play field. We're on the real game field here. You know, this isn't the little leagues here that we're going, that you're dealing with. This is something where if you're serious about yourself, you're serious about getting to that next level. An investment is also a key. Yes. You know, if you do not invest in yourself, if you don't invest time, if you don't invest money, if you don't invest just your being and just making sure that you yourself are at the point of where you want to get to, how are you going to help anyone else?
Exactly. And so, you know, this is really about you treating yourself and investing in yourself and in your business such that you will be able to get the type of information that you need to be able to catapult your business to substantial revenue gains just between now and the end of the year. I'm not even not to mention what you could do with it into 2023. Like if you really want to be able to end the year strong, you need to be at Black Millionaire Coach Live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so because of that, I was able to get a nice deal for you guys. And here is the link to go to Black Millionaire Coach Live. Make sure that you go click on that. And because you will be going as my guest, Dr. Avis, would you like to let them know what they were coming in as?
That's right. So if you use the promo code Be My Guest, that's Be My Guest, Sharon is going to make sure that you get $300 off the cost of admission to Black Millionaire Coach Live. So make sure that you use that link and use her special promo code Be My Guest, get your discount, and then be in the building. Okay?
Be in the building. You got to be in the building. I mean, like I said, I am the inaugural class with Dr. Avis, and she has coached me and hundreds of other women and men. There was a couple of men thrown in there. A couple men thrown in there. Yeah. But she has literally, personally, and I have had I went to other conferences. I've had other coaches. The results that I got, I have not gotten before. And so I'm telling you from experience. And this is why I wanted to have Dr. Avis on here, but I wanted to start it out with some historical statistics information and why we are, as Blacks, are in this position. We need to start reaching out and we need to start learning more and educating ourselves and taking that step out on faith to invest in ourselves to do better. So Dr. Avis, thank you so much. Make sure you go to that link. You type in the code, Be My Guest. It will also be in the comment box. And I look forward to seeing every single one of you that attends. I'm not going to say if you attend, that when you attend, you will be on that millionaire mark. Right, Dr. Avis?
You got that right. You need to, be like Sharon and be rolling with the big dogs, okay? So join us at the event.
And at that point, I want to thank you again, Dr. Avis. Any last words that you would like to leave us with?
Yeah, I would just say, make sure that this is the year that you actually hit that revenue goal that you set at the beginning of the year. We always have New Year's resolutions and then somehow they kind of fall off the radar. You still have time in this year to hit that number that you started out this year wanting to hit or even go beyond it. This right here, Black Millionaire Coach Live, is the roadmap to get you there. And I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much again, Dr. Avis. And everyone, I look forward to seeing you at Black Millionaire Coach Live. Make sure that you click on that link, type in, be my guest, and I assure you, you will not be sorry. Take care, everyone.